Hey, welcome back to Woven English. Today, I have a truly incredible story for you. It is the story of the biggest football match on Earth. A match watched by billions of people in every corner of the world. A match that lasted 120 agonizing minutes. A match decided by a single, solitary goal. A match that made grown men cry and young boys dream of glory. Picture this. It is the 105th minute of the 2026 World Cup Final. MetLife Stadium, New Jersey, United States of America. 82,000 fans are packed into the stadium. Many of them have been standing for over an hour. Their voices are hoarse. Their legs are tired, but they cannot sit down. Not now. Not when history is being written right in front of their eyes. On the pitch, Spain is playing against Argentina. Two football giants locked in a brutal, exhausting battle. The score is still 0-0 after 90 grueling minutes of regular time. Extra time has begun. Every pass feels like a heartbeat. Every tackle feels like thunder. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Then, in the 105th minute, something magical happens. A teenager changes the fate of nations. His name is Lamine Yamal. He is only 18 years old. And what he does next will be talked about for the rest of football history. But how did we get here? How did the biggest World Cup ever organized lead to this one breathless moment on a summer night in New Jersey? This story will take you inside the drama, the heartbreak, the controversy, and the pure magic of the 2026 World Cup Final. You will also learn many useful English words along the way. Words like anticipation, which means waiting excitedly for something. Relentless, which means never stopping. Controversy, which means a public disagreement. And legacy, which means what someone leaves behind after they are gone. These are powerful words that will help you speak English with more confidence and deeper feeling. And before we begin, write in the comments where you are listening from and what time it is in your country. Right now. Now, let's begin. The 2026 World Cup Final was not just a game between two teams. It was a war between two completely different football philosophies. Two ways of seeing the beautiful game. Two visions of how football should be played. On one side stood Spain, known around the world as La Roja, which means the red one in Spanish. Spain believed in possession football. They wanted to keep the ball. Pass it carefully from player to player. Move it across the pitch like water flowing in a river until a gap appeared in the opponent's defense. Spain did not rush. They were patient. They were methodical. They were like a chess player who waits 20 moves before making the killing strike. On the other side stood Argentina, the reigning world champions. They had won the 2022 World Cup in Qatar in one of the greatest finals ever played. Now, they wanted to do something incredibly rare in football. They wanted to win the World Cup twice in a row. back to back. Only two countries in history had ever achieved this: Italy in 1934 and 1938, and Brazil in 1958 and 1962. Argentina wanted to join that exclusive club. From the very first whistle, Spain seized control of the match. They dominated possession. Their passes were short, precise, and purposeful. Every player knew exactly where to move and when to pass. They operated as one single unit, like a well-oiled machine that never stopped running. Argentina, by contrast, was pushed deep into their own half. They put almost every player behind the ball, forming a thick defensive wall. They could barely get the ball past the halfway line. Their strategy was simple, desperate, and dangerous. Survive, wait, absorb the pressure, and pray for one chance to counterattack. For 90 long, painful, beautiful minutes, this pattern repeated. Spain attacked, wave after wave. They created chance after chance after chance, but every single time, one extraordinary man stood in their way. His name was Emiliano Martinez. Argentina's goalkeeper was having the performance of a lifetime. He made save after incredible save, diving to his left, leaping to his right, punching the ball away with powerful fists, tipping shots over the crossbar with his fingertips. By the end of the match, Martinez had made 11 saves. 11. This was a new record for any World Cup final in the entire history of the tournament. He was a wall, a fortress, a one-man army defending his nation's honor. Every time Spain thought they had scored, Martinez was there. He kept Argentina alive through sheer willpower and athletic brilliance. But here is the truly shocking part. Argentina, the defending champions, the team that had scored in every single match of the entire tournament before this night, did not manage a single shot on target during the whole 90 minutes of regular time. Not one. 0. This was an almost unbelievable statistic. It showed just how completely Spain had dominated the game. As the clock ticked into the dying moments of regular time, the tension inside MetLife Stadium was almost unbearable. Fans on both sides were standing. Some were crying. Some were praying with their hands clasped together. The scoreboard still read 0-0. Then came the moment that tilted the entire match on its axis. Deep into added time, at the end of the second half, Enzo Fernandez committed a foul. Enzo was one of Argentina's most important midfielders, a tough, intelligent player who controlled the center of the pitch. The referee, Slavko Vincic from Slovenia, reached into his pocket. He pulled out a yellow card, but it was Enzo's second yellow card of the match. 2 yellows equal 1 red. The rules are clear. There is no room for mercy. Enzo Fernandez had to leave the field immediately. He walked away slowly, his head bowed, knowing the enormous weight of what had just happened. Argentina was now down to 10 men against the most dominant attacking team in the world. They had already been clinging on for survival with 11 players. Now, they had to face 30 more agonizing minutes of extra time with only 10. The crowd gasped. Argentine fans covered their faces with scarves and jerseys. Spanish fans roared with belief. Everyone could feel the shift. This was the turning point. This was the moment the balance of power changed forever. Extra time began, and Spain pushed forward with even greater intensity. They smelled victory. Argentina retreated further and further, forming a desperate last line of defense. 10 tired, courageous men against 11 fresh, hungry attackers. They fought bravely. They blocked shots. They threw their bodies in front of the ball. But everyone in the stadium could feel it. The goal was coming. It was only a matter of when, not if. And then, in the 105th minute, the moment arrived. Lamine Yamal, the 18-year-old wonder boy from Barcelona, received the ball on the right wing. He had been electric all game, running at defenders with fearless confidence. Now, 2 Argentine defenders rushed toward him simultaneously, trying to close him down. But Yamal was too quick, too clever, too wonderfully skillful. He danced past the first defender with a sharp change of direction. He kept the ball incredibly close to the end line, balancing on the very edge of possibility. Just when it seemed like the ball would go out of play, just when everyone thought the chance was lost, he lifted his head and sent a perfect cross high into the penalty box. The ball floated through the New Jersey night air. Time seemed to slow down. A Spanish player leaped and headed the ball softly downward. It dropped perfectly to Ferran Torres. Now, Torres was a substitute. He had come onto the field in the 62nd minute, replacing a tired teammate. He had been sitting on the bench, watching, waiting, preparing himself mentally for exactly this kind of moment. And now, after waiting for over 40 minutes on the pitch, his moment of destiny had arrived. Torres did not hesitate, not even for a fraction of a second. He struck the ball hard and low from close range. The shot was fierce and perfectly placed. Martinez, who had been so utterly magnificent all night, stretched every muscle in his body. But even he could not stop this one. The ball flew past his outstretched gloves and crashed into the back of the net. 1-0, Spain. In the 106th minute. MetLife Stadium exploded. 82,000 voices screamed at the same time. Spanish players sprinted toward Torres, throwing themselves on top of him in a pile of pure joy. Tears poured down their faces. Argentine players collapsed where they stood. Some fell to their knees. Others lay flat on their backs, staring at the dark sky above, unable to believe what had just happened. The decisive goal had been scored. Spain would go on to hold this lead. They would win the 2026 FIFA World Cup, their second title in history, their first since 2010. 16 years of waiting, finally over. After the final whistle, the awards ceremony told many fascinating stories about the tournament. The Golden Boot, the prize given to the tournament's top scorer, went to Kylian Mbappé of France. He scored 10 goals across the competition, becoming the first player in World Cup history to win the Golden Boot twice. It was an extraordinary achievement for the French superstar. Lionel Messi of Argentina finished as the second highest scorer with 8 goals. The Golden Glove, awarded to the best goalkeeper, went to Unai Simon of Spain. He kept 7 clean sheets in 8 matches throughout the tournament. That means he stopped the other team from scoring in 7 out of 8 games. This was a truly remarkable record for any World Cup. Emiliano Martinez of Argentina also deserved enormous praise. His 11 saves in the final set an all-time record. He was nothing short of superhuman that night. Even though his team lost, no one could say Martinez did not give everything he had. But the biggest surprise was the Golden Ball. This award goes to the best overall player of the entire tournament. Many football experts expected a famous attacker, perhaps Mbappé or Messi, to win it. Instead, it went to Rodri, Spain's quiet, disciplined, almost invisible holding midfielder. Rodri does not score spectacular goals. He does not make flashy dribbles or celebrate with wild dances. He controls the tempo of the game. He organizes his teammates. He breaks up the opponent's attacks before they even begin. He is the heartbeat of his team, the engine that makes everything run smoothly. His selection as the best player sent a powerful message to the football world. Football is not always about individual brilliance. Sometimes, the most valuable player is not the one who scores the goals. It is the one who makes sure his teammates can score them. Rodri had already won the prestigious Ballon d'Or in 2024, confirming his status as one of the most important players of his generation. Young Pau Cubarsí won the Best Young Player award, confirming Spain's incredible depth of talent. Spain had not lost a single game in regular time since March 2024. Over 2 years of being unbeaten. They were the 2024 European champions, and now they stood on top of the world once more. Perhaps the heaviest emotional weight of the entire final belonged to one man, Lionel Messi. Argentina's captain, a living legend. He was 39 years old. This was his 6th World Cup, a record number of appearances that may never be matched. After winning the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, Messi had strongly hinted at retirement from international football. But then, as he had done so many times throughout his career, he changed course. He reversed his decision. He came back for one more journey with the blue and white shirt of Argentina. But on this night in New Jersey, Spain gave Messi absolutely nothing. Their defensive plan was ruthless and brilliantly executed. They surrounded him constantly. 2 or 3 Spanish players shadowed his every movement. They denied him every centimeter of space. In the first half, Messi barely touched the ball. By the end of the full 120 minutes, he had managed just over 50 touches. For a player of his extraordinary caliber, a player many consider the greatest of all time, this was remarkably, painfully few. He never once had a clear shot at goal. After the final whistle, while Spain celebrated wildly around him, Messi sat alone on the MetLife pitch. His head was down. His eyes were red. The weight of an entire nation's dreams rested on his slumped shoulders. Several Spanish players, showing deep respect for the man and his legacy, crossed the field to embrace him gently. He stayed seated on the grass for a long time, alone with his thoughts, before finally rising to accept his silver medal. His coach, Lionel Scaloni, was asked directly about Messi's future. He gave no clear answer. He simply said that Messi always surprised him, and that even he, his own coach, had no real idea what his captain would decide. Messi himself later spoke about the profound honor of representing Argentina. He said, "The value of playing for his country could never be reduced to the color of a medal, gold, or silver." The question that hangs over world football remains unanswered. Will Messi play in the 2030 World Cup? He would be 43 years old. Most people consider this extremely unlikely by any realistic measure. But this is Messi, the man who has defied expectations his entire life. His final chapter in international football remains beautifully, painfully unwritten, and millions of fans around the world are still holding their breath. The 2026 World Cup was the largest in the history of the sport. For the first time ever, 48 national teams competed. This was a massive expansion from the 32 teams that had participated in every tournament since 1998. The expanded format produced 104 matches, played over 39 exhausting days, across 16 cities in 3 different countries, the United States, Mexico, and Canada. One of the most heartwarming stories came from Cabo Verde, a tiny island nation off the west coast of Africa. They were making their very first World Cup appearance. Against all odds and predictions, they went unbeaten through their group stage. Later, they faced the mighty Argentina in the round of 32 and came agonizingly close to causing the greatest upset in World Cup history, losing only 3-2 in extra time after coming back from behind twice. Their courage, determination, and joyful style of play captured hearts everywhere. The 3 host nations, however, all disappointed their home supporters. Canada lost to Morocco. Mexico was eliminated by England, and the United States suffered a heavy defeat to Belgium, 4-1. None of the host countries advanced past the round of 16. Despite these early exits, the stadiums were packed for nearly every single match. The tournament smashed all previous attendance records, easily surpassing the total set during the 1994 World Cup, which was also held in the United States. Another major talking point was the halftime entertainment show during the final itself. For the first time in World Cup history, FIFA organized a spectacular music performance similar to the American Super Bowl. The show lasted 11 minutes and featured an extraordinary lineup: Madonna, Shakira, the K-pop group BTS, Justin Bieber, Coldplay's Chris Martin, Burna Boy, conductor Gustavo Dudamel, a New York school choir, and even the Muppets. FIFA partnered with the organization Global Citizen, aiming to raise $100 million for children's education and sports programs worldwide. The reaction was deeply divided. Some fans loved this bold new addition, calling it a natural evolution for the world's biggest sporting event. Others felt strongly that it did not belong in football. Football's halftime has always been simple and quiet: 15 minutes of rest. Nothing more. This glittering, star-studded spectacle changed that tradition fundamentally. Whether you loved it or criticized it, one thing was undeniable. The World Cup was evolving into something bigger and more complex than just a football tournament. But the 2026 World Cup also had darker moments that happened away from the pitch. Strict U.S. immigration policies created real difficulties throughout the event. A referee from Somalia was denied entry to the country because of a travel ban. Iran's national team had to relocate their training camp from Arizona to Tijuana, Mexico, because many of their support staff could not obtain visas. Immigration enforcement agents were stationed at World Cup venues, contradicting earlier assurances that this would not happen. Over 120 immigrant rights organizations released formal travel warnings for international visitors. These problems created a stark and uncomfortable contrast with FIFA's message of global unity and celebration. The trophy has been lifted. The confetti has fallen. But football never stops. It simply turns the page and begins a new chapter. The next World Cup in 2030 will be truly historic. It marks 100 years since the very first World Cup was played in Uruguay in 1930. Most of the matches will be hosted by Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. To celebrate this incredible centennial milestone, a few special opening games will be played in South America, in Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay. The tournament returns to where it all began, 100 years ago. Spain, the new world champion, has clearly built a dynasty. Their victory in 2026 was not built on the shoulders of one single superstar. It was built on teamwork, tactical discipline, collective intelligence, and a system that makes every player greater than the sum of their parts. Young talents like Lamine Yamal and Pau Cubarsí guarantee that Spain's golden era will continue for years to come. Their record of over 2 years without a defeat in regular time is one of the most extraordinary achievements in the history of international football. And Messi? His story is the unresolved question that hangs beautifully and sadly over everything. Will he return? Will we see him put on the famous blue and white striped jersey one more time? Only time will tell. Only Messi knows. The 2026 World Cup final was much more than a football match. It was a mirror held up to the world. It reflected the beauty of sport and the power of teamwork. It showed the agony of defeat and the ecstasy of victory. It revealed the complicated, imperfect world we all share. One goal, 106 minutes, one unforgettable summer night in New Jersey. This is the story of the 2026 World Cup final, and it will echo through football history forever. If this story moved you, I would love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, which part of this World Cup story stayed with you the most? Was it Yamal's breathtaking run down the wing at just 18 years old? Was it Martinez's superhuman 11 saves that almost kept Argentina alive? Or was it Messi sitting alone on the pitch, the weight of the world on his shoulders, his future still unknown? Hey, just a moment before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it truly helps us create even better English stories for you. Your support means the world. This is Woven English. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next story.